Hey everyone, I'm Mind, and in front of me I have every single LEGO Ninjago set releasing on January 1st, 2026. January 2026 is going to be Ninjago's 15th anniversary, and as such, they have a lot that's releasing that day. There's 3 different Ninjago Legacy sets specifically to celebrate the 15th anniversary, plus 8 Ninjago Dragons Rising Season 4 sets, making for a total of 11 different products that are releasing that day. I was fortunate enough to have every single one of these sets gifted to me early by LEGO, and I have full reviews of each one of them up right now on my channel, so if you want to see more about any specific one, go check those videos out. There should be a playlist linked in the description below. In this video, I won't be doing a full review of any one specific set. Instead, I want to talk about the wave as a whole. Which sets I think you should buy, which sets I think you should skip, which sets have the best builds, which sets have the best minifigures. So without further ado, let's jump straight in. I want to start by talking about the must-have sets of the wave, and of course that is must-have in quotes, because no set is truly a must-have. Everybody has a different budget and different interests. What one person may like, another person may not like, and usually when I talk about my must-have sets, it is a very small set, because anything over a certain price I don't feel comfortable calling a must-have. However, this is probably the largest must-have set I've ever recommended, which would be the $45 Ninja Anniversary Display. That set, while being more of a medium-sized set than a small set, is such an amazing value. You get so much there. I feel like if you're only going to get one Ninjago set all year, it should be that one. The highlight is, of course, the minifigure selection. You get 8 minifigures for $45, which is already really good. But what those minifigures are the new Legacy ZX versions of all the Ninja, plus the exclusive Samurai X and the exclusive Master of Lightning minifigure and Master Wu, plus a very solid little display piece to actually pose your minifigures on. I, of course, dive deeper into that in my full review, so if you want to see more about it, go check that out. But it's nostalgic for longtime fans, a great, jumping on point for new fans. I'm so surprised that they put so many desirable things in one set. If you're a fan of Ninjago, at all, I highly recommend you pick that set up. But yeah, I think that's the only set here I would call a must-have. Everything else is either too big for me to call a must-have, or has something about it that makes it not the biggest deal if you skip it. So now let's move on to the best build of the wave, and of course I have to give it to the largest set of the wave, the Old Town. Now this is gigantic, it's $300, so it's definitely not for everybody. I know it's going to be out of a lot of people's budgets, but if you are someone who has that kind of money to spend on Ninjago, I am so incredibly happy with how that set turned out. $300, while obviously expensive, does feel like a pretty fair price for that set to me. Compare that to other $300 sets from other LEGO themes, this is definitely a much better value just from the build alone. It looks beautiful on display and it's customizable, so there's multiple different ways to display it. But it's also amazing for play too, if that's what you're into. There's tons of places to pose minifigures, lots of different shops and things to actually move around. Genuinely amazing on all fronts, and that's not even getting into the minifigures, which I will touch on in just a moment. First, I want to shout out a few other builds. My number 2, or honestly possibly number 1, I'm really between the two, build of this wave is at the blacksmith shop. Looks like Ryu's wing is in the wave, you guys seeing that a little bit? There we go, that's better. But yeah, I keep going back and forth between the blacksmith shop and the Old Town as to which one I prefer. But the build of the blacksmith shop is phenomenal, it's a dream come true. It looks straight out of the show, but just like the Old Town, makes for a great display model. It doesn't feel like it was restricted by having to match the show. No, this feels like it could be a fully original build. What I find most interesting about the build of this set is there's parts that look simple from the outside, but when you put it together, you see that they're actually not. The biggest thing is the pillars at the front, those are actually built upside down to create those shapes. And this is one of those sets where it was such a fun building experience that it really stuck with me. As you guys know, of course, I run this YouTube channel, so I get the chance to build a lot of LEGO. As such, it's not that often anymore that I put together a set and I'm like, wow, this is really interesting the way this is done. No, it's sort of just going through the motions. But with the blacksmith shop, I was encountering that over and over again. Wow, I didn't expect this to be done like that. That's really impressive the way this shape comes out. So the building process is really fun, and I think the end result's super cool too. I love that it's fully enclosed and has that full scale accurate interior. And again, minifigure selection is not bad at all, but I will touch on that again in just a moment. And those are the 2 absolute best builds of the wave. Nothing else here even comes close. Other things I will still mention, the Arc Dragon of Life does have a pretty fun build. It is very unique for a dragon, which is something I like. My thoughts of that build changed a lot over time, but I've ended up actually really liking it after putting it together myself and getting the chance to play with it. So if you liked Ninjago dragons but have felt like the past few dragons have been somewhat samey, give this one a shot, it is very unique. And then finally, I guess I'll mention Cole's mission mech over here, because that's something from the show that was translated into a set. And I just think it's kind of cool how it is pretty accurate to the show, but a few things were changed to make it a more interesting toy, and I think all of those changes were a good thing. On the flip side of all of that though, the worst build of the wave, at least for me, is Ryu right here. I actually like a lot of the Ryu build. I think his body's really good, the wings fit in really well. I think it's a really neat idea that he's a ninja, he can hold a sword and hold the sword in his mouth as well. But the way they did his face is just horrible, and I'm not going to talk about it much here because I talk about it for 5 minutes in that full review. But yeah, just a huge disappointment there. I'm not a fan of how that was done at all. Now, talking about minifigure selection, this wave overall has one of the best minifigure selections I've seen just as a wave. Not even counting the Old Town, because that one's crazy. That's the best minifigure selection of any set ever. Even just like the main Dragon's Rising wave, the minifigure loadouts are really good. We have 5 different unique villains this wave, and most of them are pretty easy to get. Even like the Acid Snake, which has that unique tail and the unique headpiece. Typically that would be considered like very special. It would probably only come in one set, like the biggest set of the wave. But no, that guy comes in 3 different sets. So there's multiple ways to get that guy. And I feel like you're really not starving for ninja in these sets either, because every single set, aside from the spinners, comes with more than one ninja, and the biggest set of the wave, the dragon, even comes with 5. So I do like that with this wave overall, that if you get just one set, it feels like you have a lot to play with. It's not like, oh, you got the Lloyd Dragon, so you just have Lloyd, go get the sets for the other characters. So that side of things I actually do find very cool. On the flip side of that, though, one negative about this wave is there is not a single set without some sort of exclusive minifigure. And this is even with bringing Legacy back into the conversation. Yeah, every single one of these sets, including the spinners and the small mech that you see in front of you, has some sort of exclusive minifigure. Now, if we only want to talk about minifigures that actually have exclusive parts, that does remove the Nia spinner from the conversation and the Kaimak from the conversation, because while those combinations of parts are exclusive to those sets, you can find all of the parts of those minifigures in other ones. That still only cuts $10 each off of your budget. If you want to get every single minifigure, you would have to get every single other set. And I'm very mixed on that. On the one hand, it does generate value. You do have a reason to get every single one of these sets. So if you're someone who likes collecting and you have the means to do it, I think that's awesome. But at least to me, generally, I'm against the idea of having so many exclusive minifigures. I think having characters more accessible is a very good thing. So yeah, this is not the kind of thing I would like to see continue, but it is something definitely worth pointing out. I will say at the very least, with the anniversary display releasing this year, if you just want some version of each of the ninja, for $45 you can get them all. But if you do like collecting the specific new ninja suits, yeah, that's quite the undertaking this wave. But anyway, in terms of best minifigure selections, of course, number 1 is the Old Town. That set does not just have the best minifigure selection of this wave, it has the best minifigure selection of all time in Ninjago. You get every single ninja, you get tons of new exclusives like Faith, Dr. Julian, a new Garmadon, a new Mailman, Crux, Acronix, Harumi. You get some of the villains of the Dragon's Rising wave, Mistake, Wu, plus the anniversary figures of Young Wu, Young Garmadon, and the first Ninjutsu Master. Such a phenomenal lineup that's unmatched by anything else we've ever seen. I want to give credit to the Blacksmith shop as well, because that also has a really good minifigure selection for how big that set is. You have 4 exclusives with the new Blacksmith Kai, the new Rai and Maya, and then the new Master of Earth minifigure, plus you get the new Legacy Nia and Wu on top, and this is the cheapest set that Nia comes in. And like I was saying, that build is so good that even if it only came with the basic Nia and basic Kai for this wave, I'd still probably be very happy with that set. But the fact that you get those amazing minifigures as well, I think is really cool. I also want to shout out the Arc Dragon of Life as having a really good minifigure selection. You get 8 total minifigures, including the exclusive dragon forms for Lloyd and Cole. You get the regular version of Zane this wave, the new version of Aaron, the Sora that comes in these sets, plus 3 villains. If you are more interested in Dragon's Rising rather than Legacy, that is a pretty good all-in-one package. Like, you get a lot of characters there. Another set I want to shout out in terms of minifigure selection is, like, the Ninja Treehouse Battle? I think that's what that set's called. The build on that one I'm not super crazy about. I don't think it's bad per se, it's just very simple. Definitely targeting, like, younger fans. But the minifigure selection includes is very good. You get the regular version of Zane, the regular version of Kai, the exclusive dragon form of Jay, the exclusive Euphrasia minifigure, which is one of the best minifigures this wave, plus the Acid Snake as a villain and one of the Imperium loyalists. I like this set especially for like young kids just getting into Ninjago, who might be more interested in Dragon's Rising than the original stuff. I think this could be a really good set to start out with. Worst minifigure selection, I honestly couldn't say. Like, these are all pretty good. I would probably, again, give it to Ryu, but even then, you get the exclusive Dragon Form Nia, and this is the only set to come with the full version of the Mutation Monster, because that figure only comes in 2 sets currently. That set and the spinner, but the spinner doesn't come with, like, the tentacles on its back. So if you want the complete version of the Mutation Monster, which is one of our 5 villains for this wave, you do actually need to get the Ryu set. And yeah, that version of Nia is exclusive there as well. And even the spinners, I mean, the Mutation Monster spinner, that's the only way to get the regular version of Nia with the armor. And then the Earth Monster spinner comes with an exclusive version of the Earth Monster with like a different hat piece. I guess maybe I would have liked one more minifigure in Cole's Mission Mech, considering it's, what, $35, I think? And the little $10 mech came with just as many minifigures. But even then, like, the Mission Mech comes with the Dragon Form Zane, which is a very detailed minifigure, and the Acid Snake, which is a very detailed minifigure. So I can't even hate too much, like, that still feels pretty good. So yeah, minifigure selection is very solid this time around. Great count of minifigures and nice variety in them, too. I just wish there was less exclusives overall, because while exclusives are neat for, like, driving up the value of individual sets, it makes the wave a lot more difficult to collect, especially for younger fans who may not be able to get everything. Not being able to necessarily get their favorite character is a shame. I think there's only a few sets I haven't touched on yet. The 2 spinners are good. It's nice to get a good guy and a bad guy, and it's great to get the mutation monster for cheap if you don't want to get the Ryu set. It's not the complete version, but it's still pretty cool. The spinners are actually very fun too. It's a continuation of the spinner style from 2025, but this time around it's for the villains. I think that's very neat. The little Kai mech is a surprisingly good build. This is the 3rd year in a row we've gotten a little mech for $10 like this. But yeah, I like it. It's got this cool dragon theming, the wings on the back. It's one of those sets that's like a very easy skip if you don't care, but if you like Kai or you like mechs, I think it's well worth that low price point. And then the J car I think is fine. I actually do quite like the build. I think it's a lot of fun, but the price of that one is just way too high. I don't know what they were thinking there. So value-wise, one of the worst sets of the wave, but what you actually get in the package isn't bad. It just costs too much. So overall, what sets would I recommend that you guys get out of this entire wave? Honestly, it really depends on like what you're interested in. Do you care about Legacy? Do you care about Dragon's Rising? How much money do you actually have to spend? Because you have all sorts of sizes this wave. As I mentioned at the beginning, the one you should absolutely get if you're a Ninjago fan at all, get the anniversary display. Even if that's your only Ninjago set all year, I think you're going to be happy. You just get so much in that one package. The Old Town is amazing. Again, watch my full review. It's chock full of references, the minifigures are great, the build is beautiful and so much fun. With the price point that it's at, I know it's obviously not going to be for everybody, but if you have that kind of money and you don't mind spending that kind of money, I really think this set's one of the best values that you can get out of LEGO's entire catalog right now. Blacksmith Shop 2 is just a love letter to the fans. As someone who's been following the show since 2011, I'm so happy to finally have that set, and it is just amazing. I love it so much. If you're a longtime Ninjago fan, yeah, I highly recommend picking that one up. And then for the Dragon's Rising stuff, I will admit this is probably my least favorite wave of Dragon's Rising so far, and I think that's partially because Legacy is like taking away a lot of the attention, but there is still things I like here. Of the Dragon's Rising stuff, I'd say my favorite sets of the wave are the Dragon of Life and Cole's Mission mech. If you don't care about necessarily collecting every single minifigure and you just want cool builds, those are definitely the 2 from Dragon's Rising that I'd recommend. And then when it comes to these 3 Dragon's Rising sets in the front, I think there's reasons to get all of them and reasons not to get all of them. The Treehouse Battle is actually pretty fun and has a great minifigure selection, but it is quite simple, definitely leans towards a younger audience. So if you're more focused on builds and you want something really unique, I don't think this is it. There is a lot of good aspects of that set, though. The J-Car is actually really well done, and it does have a pretty fun play feature, though at the end of the day it is just another ninja vehicle. The biggest thing with that is the price. If you're going to spend that kind of money on it, buy something else. There's much better options for what that thing costs. And then Ryu, like I said, near perfect except for the jaw, and at least for me personally, I feel like it ruins the entire set. And the minifigure selection is probably the weakest of this entire wave. But you do get that exclusive Nia, you do get that exclusive mutation monster, and there is so much of the Ryu build that is good. So if you can look past the jaw that bothers me, you might actually have a lot of fun with this set, because I do think there's a lot to enjoy there. But of course, as I mentioned at the beginning of this video, if you want to see my in-depth thoughts about any single one of these sets, go check out my full reviews. They're all up right now on my channel. There should be a playlist in the description and in the pinned comment. Let me know in the comments what you guys think of this wave and which sets you're planning to pick up. But as for this video, I think that's about all I have to say, so thanks for watching everybody, I hope you all enjoyed, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.